Delighted to welcome to our next session and the start of our final theme of the day, Kickstart Your Career. Three very inspiring individuals who all have different stories to tell. And the aim of this session is in the title, which is Industry Needs You. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first panelist, Dominique.
Hello, and thank you, Claire. I'm Dominique Sidley. I'm the Global Trade Strategy Director for Merlin Entertainment. Merlin is Europe's #1 location-based entertainment business, second globally to one of the probably bigger recognised industry giants. I won't mention their name though. And I've had the pleasure of working here in Merlin for the best part of 26 years now. In various roles though, I didn't start my career as the Global Strategy Director. I actually commenced in an operational capacity, working on shop floor level, helping customers. And really, I have to credit that experience starting at entry level, not going to university, coming out of my A-levels, feeling very disillusioned with education and desperate to earn some money. So I went to get a job, and going into this industry at that level, as I say, I have to credit that for the resilience that I have today. Without that grassroots level that I've definitely drawing on in the last 3 months, I don't think I would have perhaps had the success I've had, that's for sure.
Good. Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather Elder. I am Director of the Canadian Academy of Travel and Tourism and also Director of Marketing at Tourism HR Canada. I started at Tourism HR Canada about 13 years ago now. And like Dominique, have worked kind of in a variety of positions, mostly to do with communications and marketing and web development. I didn't start off thinking that I would ever have a career related to tourism. I went to a small rural high school where it wasn't really discussed in the guidance office. So it was through summer jobs that I discovered that I really had a passion for the industry. And at this point, I was already in university pursuing an English Lit degree because I wanted to be an editor. So I've managed to combine everything, and I feel very passionately about the fact that it's important for young people to know of the breadth and depth of careers that are available in tourism and how different skills can apply. So that's why I'm here today.
Thanks, Heather. And Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack Parsons, and I'm the CEO of the youth group that helps improve the odds for young people across the Commonwealth so they can reach their full potential. I had a tough upbringing. I grew up in a council estate, and I actually left school in the recession, when the recession took place. So I kind of understand what everyone's going to be feeling. Is there opportunities? How do I get a job? Will someone look at me because I've got no experience? And all I'm going to say is I'm no one special, and I've been able to grow what I'm doing with the organisation and put over 9,000 people into work. We have a community of 1.7 million young people that we support. And my question is, what do you want to do? And let's get it going. Let's get you into jobs. So I'm Jack Parsons. I'm dubbed as the UK's Chief Youth Officer, and I really care about young people's futures with all my art, and I keep everything authentic.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, everyone. That's fantastic. And I've been really excited about starting this panel. I guess I'd like to start with, we're hopefully coming into a post-COVID world. And I think a lot of people, maybe having read the news and seeing what's going on out there, might be slightly concerned about what the future holds for them, particularly the younger generations. So what opportunities do you think they're going to be available for younger people as we move out of this pandemic? I'm going to start, Jack, actually, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
So we have to look at trends. So any young person listening to this will know about Pokemon. And Pokemon was a Game Boy that we all got and we all played, and we could trade Pokemons. And then about a couple of years ago, Pokemon Go came out. And Pokemon Go was where you could literally walk around the road and actually play Pokemon. And it's the same with what goes on in the last recession or what happened before. We're going to see trends. And what you're going to see is a lot of support from governments, traineeships, led roles, and hopefully government supporting industry and hospitality and tourism to get young people trained up into these opportunities. So my first bit of advice to any young person, wherever you're tuning in from, what are the incentives that your local government's announcing, and how can you get involved with them? And look at the trends.
Thanks, Jack. Heather, what about in Canada and also sort of with your global hat on?
Sure. So yeah, I think there are there's a lot of attention on tourism now that there wasn't previously. Everyone's realizing how big an impact it has on our economy, how many jobs are out there in the tourism industry that maybe they weren't focused on as much prior to this. So like Jack was saying, there's definitely an opportunity there to get out there and take advantage of training programs. A lot of places have offered up training for free right now. So it's an absolutely fantastic time to look at what's available online. It doesn't need to be an opportunity that's based in your country. It could be anywhere around the world, because so many of these skills are transferable. I think in addition to that, there's just going to be such a pent-up demand after this is all over for people to get out and travel again. I know I'm certainly missing the ability to even go to the town down the road, let alone across the globe. So I think it's a great opportunity to bring in some fresh perspectives to the tourism industry. There's definitely going to be opportunities for new ideas, for fresh perspectives, for creativity. And I think that's a great opportunity for young people to bring, they're not coming at it from, well, we've always done this. So they can come at it from a different angle and really shake things up.
Yeah. And Dominique, obviously, I mean, Merlin Entertainments, it's a huge global business. You employ thousands and thousands of people. So interested to know your kind of take on opportunities for young people over the next few months.
Yes, I mean, Merlin is a vast employer of people from that entry level, whether that's internship, work experience even, prior to leaving education, gaining work experience within an attraction through apprenticeship programs and graduate programs and postgrad programs. So we have a range of programs that we operate, but without question that all of that will be impacted by today's occurrences. But what I would say, and it really does echo, I guess, what Heather and Jack were saying there around trends and new ideas and freshness. We've been through many, many turbulent times in this industry where we've been impacted significantly, whether that's through terrorism or significant flooding in areas that have closed attractions, or severe weather in other areas that have impacted attractions, to foot and mouth disease where zoos had to close down. There's been lots of different things that have affected our industries, and we're still here. We have massive survival instincts in tourism because, as Heather says, pent-up demand will drive us to be there and to be at the forefront or want to be open and available to customers. So all of that, so we will go through an S-curve over the next few months through this year into next. And we're probably at the lower end of that right now, but it will grow out of that. And there's been some very stark times, and particularly around key events, and this is what this is, it's a key event of scale, but events like 9/11 where airline industries were closing down and hotels were closing because of that concern around travel. Everybody thought that was the darkest day we would ever face, and yet we came out of that stronger than ever as an industry. And that will happen again within tourism. So I think if you are looking to enter into this industry now, which, by the way, I wouldn't stay in anything for 26 years if it wasn't superb. It's the most exciting, exhilarating industry to be in, tourism is. And you know, if you want to go into that, I would say, look in the mirror and say, what is my motivation? What's my passion? Why do I want to get into that? Is it because I am looking for a career path? Do I just want to have some fun? Because let me tell you, there's buckets of fun in this industry. And for young people, your motivation isn't always the big title and the big salary. It could be, do you know what? I want something that's going to make me laugh all day long. And tourism somewhere will provide that for you. So understand that motivation first and foremost. And then say to yourself, I'm going to be flexible as to how I get there, because for now I am in an S curve too. And I might need to just meander before I can build up some momentum. And this industry will allow for that. So it might be that you're not going into the planned path that you had for yourself, but instead I've got to take a little diversion in the road to get there. I actually read about a young lady on LinkedIn this morning who had a career within one of the major attractions in the States. But because of the times we're in, she's actually taken her all back on the floor doing visitor welcoming at the admissions. And she said, I've opened my eyes to the reason I started in this industry. And that's what we can all do. It's about regenerating all the time. And I think if you're coming into the industry as someone young, don't just set yourself into a box and say, I've got to do it this way, because everybody comes at this in different ways. I work along colleagues who went to Harvard. And, I didn't go to university. I'm just studying now for an MBA, and I'm 50 years old. So everybody has a different path that they're going to come to this industry. But understand why you want to be in it in the first place. And then give yourself cut yourself some slack. Take an allowance that says, I might not do everything I thought I was going to do this year, but I will do it.
That's great. Thank you. Some really great advice from all of you. I think, we in the audience we'll have a lot of people who maybe have studied tourism, but also are just interested in thinking about it and looking for opportunities. But, we hear time and time again, and I think probably pre-COVID, and I hope so much not post, that a lot of young people are told that they might not have relevant experience or the right skills to come in. And actually, I guess I'd like to debunk that myth a bit that we have in tourism, because I do think it's a bit of a myth, and I think that we need to be better at it. So I guess like your thoughts and advice that you might give young people who might face that lack of confidence, I guess, and that worry that they might be faced with that when they're in a world where there are a lot of people with experience in the industry also looking for work. So Heather, why don't I start with you this time with that one?
Sure. So I think what's worth exploring is taking a lot of looking at your personality traits, looking at your passions, looking at your strengths, and trying to frame those as your experience. It doesn't need to necessarily be something that's happening on the job. Lots of life experience is equally applicable, particularly in tourism, where a lot of entry-level positions, you're face-to-face with people all day. So if you're a people person, if you're someone who really likes to chat, if you have a passion for your city or for your workplace, and you're able to share that and connect with people, that's absolutely a strength that you can bring to an organization. The other thing to look at too is skills such as, do you speak another language? That's huge in the tourism industry. Could be something like, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on my other point here.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, it disappeared, sorry. But yeah, just basically taking a broader look at what you have to offer an employer and not worrying so much about where that experience came from.
No, that's a very good point, Heather. Thank you. And Jack, I mean, you shared with us that, you could have had a different and a tough upbringing, but you've made it. And I know you deal with a lot of young people who maybe don't have the same start in life that many do. So what advice would you give people, and who are looking there saying, well, I don't have the relevant experience or even the qualifications that people might be looking for.
And you're totally right. Me growing up, I had less than 50p to my name, and I went 3 nights without dinner a week, and I had no experience and no confidence. I had actually had speech therapy until I was 8 years old, so I couldn't really speak properly. And still to this day, I can't type or write properly. I have to have someone help me do it. But I've gone on to sign £1 million contracts. My business is a multi-million pound business that I run with no investment. And the story is, I'm no one special. I never claimed to be, but I've given it a go, and I've got up and I've surrounded myself with good people. So my 3 bits of advice for anyone who's doubting themselves or saying, I don't have the experience and no one's going to look at me, is 1, you need, is like the lady said, confidence. You have to have the confidence to ask the questions. I'm a big believer. People say to me, Jack, what's your thought on the youth landscape? And I say, I'm no expert. I speak to the young people grassroots, and you have to go from having all the answers to all the questions. And that is the big thing here. In the interview, or whoever's in the industry, get up on LinkedIn, find someone who's been in the industry and go, how did you get into it? What is this? And people want to give back, and they want to help you. So go from having all the answers to all the questions. Yes, you might have all the answers when it comes to Xbox or PlayStation, and you might be really good at Call of Duty. But when it comes to employers and trying to get a job, actually seek out and build that confidence to ask the questions, which in return will build you your network. I talk about having a professional build and a personal build, and people that want to see you do to succeed however and whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter what pathway you take. It doesn't matter if it takes you 10 times longer. It doesn't matter if you're not the fastest person on the playground, but as long as you're moving forward. And that is most important. Don't look at the grass. Focus on your grass and look at how you can get into the industry, how you can get into hospitality, and how you can grow. One of my good friends runs McDonald's, and he started on the floor in terms of cleaning the tables. So like you said, Claire, you don't have to be the CEO. You don't have to have all these big titles. You can just do what you're happy with and do something that's meaningful to you. And then the final one, which as Dominique said, is around finding that duvet flip, looking at yourself in the mirror and goes, what motivates me? I call it duvet flip. What gets you out of bed? If you was getting paid for it or you wasn't getting paid for it, what will you flip that duvet flip when you get out of bed and go, yes. Now, your duvet flip on a weekday can be different to your duvet flip on the weekend. Your duvet flip on the weekend could be following your favourite sports or going to see Beyonce sing. I don't know, whatever you're interested in, but have that duvet flip when it comes to your career or a job. And remember that duvet flip. Why am I here? Why hospitality? Why tourism? And what can it bring to me? And you make a really good point around it could be fun. There's some industries that are really boring. So those 3 things: find your network, build your confidence, and find your duvet flip.
Brilliant, Jack. Thank you. And Dominique, I guess, adding on to that, your advice you'd offer.
Jack hit on a real good point there, which is about asking questions and trying to build a network. And I accept that is difficult when you're at your lowest confidence. Some young people find it very difficult to even build a network in the school playground or in the locker vestibules. They find it very difficult to just connect. But what I would say to those people is, somewhere inside you what you're really good at, and then try and anchor your next step on that first thing, the thing you're good at. Don't think about the where I'm going to in the end of my journey. I had no idea from the day I started work what I wanted to do. Some days I still don't. So what I would definitely say is anchor just on the thing that you are confident about. It might be, I have beautiful handwriting. I have nothing else. but I have beautiful handwriting. It might be, I am really creative, I'm very good at you know, artwork, or it could, whatever it is. As Jack said, it might be Xbox, it might be Call of Duty, but whatever it is that you know that you're good at, anchor to that. And what I mean by that is, if I'm going to talk to somebody about a career and I have no skills in that set, how can I drive the passion I feel about the thing I know I'm good at into the conversation that I'm going to have about the thing that I know very little about? And also, remember, the story that's playing in your head doesn't have speakers. It's an internal story. No one else can hear it. It's only fear that you create for yourself. So if you just remember, I don't need to articulate, I don't need to talk about that to anyone else. That's just background noise. If you can just dampen that down and focus and enjoy what you're good at. Just keep anchored into that. And then when you get to your next point, you might say, actually, now I have really good handwriting and I've got some work experience cleaning the tables in a cafe this summer. And that's two things I can anchor on. So what's my next thing I'm going to do? And just keep building in stages. Some people just have it and they go, I want to be this. And I'm that passionate, nothing's getting in my way. And if that's you, celebrate that too. That's your motivation. But definitely don't try and be everything, because no one is expecting that of you. My final point on this, which again goes back to what's previously been said around asking questions. There are so many people in the tourism industry who are mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, you know, grandparents, who would love to help someone else out. They want to pay it forward, they want to pay it back, and they want to give somebody a leg up, whether that's because you're from a minority group. And actually, I class the youth as one of those minority groups. The work I do in diversity and inclusion, whilst there's a lot of focus around gender and race and religion, you know, ethnicity, I think, you know, age has to be part of that. And I do see the youth increasingly becoming a minority group in the way that people's view of them is. And therefore, all the work that's been done around diversity and inclusion, people do genuinely want to help those minority groups. So ask the question, look at who has that experience, and just build the confidence. And remember, one of the things you have at your fingertips with social media now is a filter. You have a screen where you can just be whoever you want to be in that asking of the question. Just ask somebody, you know, someone out there will reach back to you and say, I can help you with that. I can give you advice on that. Just have the spark, the motivation to ask the question.
Fantastic, thank you. Can you believe we've run out of time? I can't bear it. So just actually, maybe just if anyone has any final thoughts or advice they want to give before we start the next session.
I would say here definitely in the UK, the British culture tells us failure is bad. Now, if you go into the travel tourism industry and you fail your first time, don't say, oh, this industry is not for me, because that doesn't mean it's not for you. So remember, embrace failure, embrace and use it as learnings. And if it doesn't work, if you go to an interview and you don't get the job and say, okay, but hospitality, they don't want me, that's not true. Yeah. So embrace your failures and learn from it, and don't and have the confidence to admit in an interview when you failed and what you've done and learn from it, because that will go along. And it's a bit, have the spark, have the energy, and own it, but also be authentic. If you don't understand a question, say, you know what, I actually don't understand that. Could you break it down for me a little bit, please? So embrace failure.
Really good advice. Heather, anything else you want to add?
I think I would just like to emphasize that, you know, there's going to be kind of a slow restart to the industry. And so there may be job opportunities that come up that aren't exactly where you were hoping to focus your energies. But that might be the kind of the starting point that you need. So you can get in there, you can start getting that work experience, building those transferable skills, making contacts in the industry. And then as things start to reopen more broadly, you can get out and start networking and look at other opportunities that are out there. We did a series of interviews with our board members a couple years ago, just looking at their career pathways. And it was absolutely incredible to see where people had started and where their careers had taken them. Some of them started in tourism, went out, came back. Others had a very clear focus. Others came at it from completely different angles. So just don't get discouraged if things aren't quite opening up in areas of tourism that you're hoping to work in. All it takes is starting somewhere.
Yeah. And as Dominique says, we're very resilient as an industry, and we will be back stronger and better than ever. Let's hope.
Absolutely.
Everybody, thank you so much for your time. I can't tell you how much I've appreciated and really enjoyed listening to all of you. And I'm sure our audience will as well. So I know people will probably want to reach out on the chat now, and let's hope that people will carry on, you know, staying positive, and have learned a lot of really good advice from you guys through that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.